Good morning.
Good afternoon.
Good evening. Welcome to being here.
Yes.
I'm Ariel.
I'm Shia. And today's topic is listening, a self-discipline. I love that.
Talk about that.
Well, our minds are a lot like a herd of cats.
Yes.
They go everywhere. They rush off on tangential thoughts. Somebody's speaking and something that they're saying is a little bit threatening, and suddenly we change the subject. It's like there's no taking a breath and allowing what another person has to say to come into you. It's life transforming if you do, but it requires a let go, a surrender to the moment. Because what happens is there's this protective nature of your point of view where you think if you give that up, somehow you won't survive. So it's really about letting go. People talk about they'd like to be able to, really let go. Well, you can let go into listening. But it requires a self-discipline. You have to intentionally stay where you are and hear what another person says without defending your point of view. And that is tricky because we've all been used to operating that way, and we haven't been used to being willing to allow what's being said just to come into us without doing anything with it. And that's about all I'm going to say about that for now.
Last night or recently, we did a Living Made Easy seminar, and one of the participants has a son who is 4. And she was relating a story about having a squirrel that got into her chimney. So she ultimately found a very good pest control guy that she'd used before 20 years ago. And when the man came to help them remove the squirrel, which they did successfully, they trapped it and rehomed the squirrel someplace more appropriate than the chimney.
Like in the woods.
And he showed up, he said, "Oh, I remember you, and I remember where you lived." And he remembered details about her. And the 4-year-old said, "Yes, and I remember you too." He was listening to what this gentleman had to say, and like a normal person, did not want to be stupid or left out. He couldn't just listen to the conversation. He had to prove something. And I don't think that's just a juvenile perspective. I think that's how our minds work.
Well, maybe we all have a juvenile perspective. There was a very interesting thing that happened this morning.
Tell me.
Well, in the middle of the night, I woke up and I had won the game of solitaire, so I couldn't play it again because I was saving it for you. So I somehow found my way into some YouTube shorts, and there was some amazing things. Like there was a thing with Joan Goodell. Waddell?
My brain.
The chimpanzee ape woman who studied them. And there was this scene where this huge silverback gorilla sees her and remembers her from years before and gives her the most embracing hug. It's so gentle and sweet. And I wanted to share it with Ariel. So around 6 o'clock this morning, I wake up and she stirs. So I say, "I have something I want to show you." And she says, "No, I want to sleep." And that was enough for my internal conversation to go into a pout mode, saying, "See, I want to share something special, and she says no to me, and so I had to deal with my own mind's
I actually didn't
infantile
say
behavior. What?
that. I said, I think I'll enjoy it better when I'm more awake.
That didn't matter. That was still a no.
Yes, I know.
To my mind, that was a no, and I offended myself, and I watched the machinations of the mind do what it does. See, most of us don't do that. We don't just have a self-discipline to listen and hear what's being said from another's point of view without making it mean anything, without agreeing, without disagreeing, but just hear it. Well, I disagreed with her response, and I watched my mind and its juvenile, childlike, hurting itself, complaining, thinking about getting even somehow. Well, I'll show her. Maybe I'll just die, and she'll be stuck with that she didn't listen to me.
Oh, finally came Jane Goodell.
Jane Goodell.
Yes.
Okay, good. Well, in any event, that was my early morning moment of enlightenment, where I saw how that machinery works. Okay, now we can take our first guest.
Let's do that. Corinne, welcome to being here. Tell people where you're zooming in from, please.
Hi, this is Corinne, and I'm zooming in from Long Branch, New Jersey.
Welcome.
Thank you.
I see you laughing.
Yeah, I'm enjoying that story very much. That's great.
Don't you see how your mind does the same thing?
Absolutely.
You know,
Yes.
it's so juvenile, it's so childish, it's so stupid, and yet we do that. And that's why there are wars on our planet.
Actually, it does that. And if you associate you as that voice, if you think that's genuinely you,
rather than just a voice you listen to,
it will yank you all over the place.
It's true. It's true. Yeah, because I was thinking this morning about this call and or this Zoom, and I thought before I met you guys, I thought I was a great listener. But what I did was when somebody spoke, I got ready to defend myself. Like I was always ready with a response and felt it was to protect myself. I had to be ready to defend my point of view. Like you're right.
yes, it's so perfect. And when you see that, it relieves you somehow of the fear of being caught out, where you can just be okay being Corinne in Long Branch, New Jersey, and there's nothing wrong with any of that. See, you can't do your life wrong. You can't do it right. You can only have done what you've done. It's all perfect, except the mind, that voice you listen to, that thinks it's you, or that you think is you, is not on your side.
Yeah. Yeah,
You know,
it's true.
what's possible is ecstasy. What you get normally is upset and complaint. But the ecstasy comes in being willing to be vulnerable to the moment, as if you could do anything but be vulnerable to the moment, because the moment is.
Yeah, that's really cool. When you said that, especially when you said Corinne from Long Branch, New Jersey. So I lived in New York as an adult for most of my adult life, over 25, 30 years. And just recently, we've talked about making our permanent address in New Jersey. And I was very much into that. Like, yes, save money on taxes, whole story. And yesterday we were getting ready to to start changing the license plate. And all of a sudden, inside my head went, no, like you can't do that. How could you give up your New York identity? Like,
Yes, like that identity is you.
yeah, yeah.
Rather than you are a citizen of the universe, you've become a New Yorker.
Yeah, right. And it was just really eye-opening. Like suddenly I wasn't just changing an address. I was changing me, which was really weird.
Uh, well, everything right up to it was really weird. Sang a song. It was really weird. Was the
Conclusion.
the conclusion, the judgment add-on. Because recently you impressed so much, and all of us were laughing with your amusement. How when you went to see a doctor in New York City, and your married name is McCormick, but you, which does not indicate being Jewish, but you wanted to make sure the doctor you were seeing knew you were Jewish. So you managed to slip in that something happened around the time of your son's bar mitzvah. And you were laughing at how hard you were working to let this physician know you were Jewish.
Right, right.
I love how much you're seeing your internal identity and how when life deviates from that, or how that is just so important to that mind we all have. It's just so much fun. So now it's like, oh no, it's not just New Yorker that you don't want to give up. It's being a Manhattanite.
It's true.
You know, if you lived in Poughkeepsie or East Rochester, I'm not sure you would be as
Or even if you live in, well, Brooklyn is now a,
Cool.
Very hip.
it's very hip to live there. It used to be the Lower East Side and then below
But, you know,
Houston.
it's not only Manhattanite, it's Upper East Side. You know, you've got, it's all stratified.
Yeah.
You don't want to lose it.
That's true. It's very true.
Because
So
you
fun.
have, you see, what's interesting is your judgment system judges other people for where they live. If they lived in Queens, my God, that would be Jamaica. Give me a break, Far Rockaway.
I'm actually, no, that's actually, now I'm much more open to living in Queens and Brooklyn and other parts of the city. My,
Yeah,
you know,
because you've moved out of the city, you're now in Jersey, but you were born and raised in Jersey, you see.
And moving to Manhattan made you sophisticated.
And you
absolutely.
now live in your family home in Long Branch.
Yeah. Yes.
So I have a question for you. When you saw the no as you were changing the license plate, did it stop you, or did you notice the no and then continue on doing what you were doing?
Oh, I noticed it and continued, making the appointment to go in and change everything. But I
That's
got
fine.
thinking
Great,
about it.
because you see, your mind will continue to be a mind. You see, it will never be enlightened. It can never be satisfied. You can't satisfy this insatiable machine, that's a good word, because it is a machine. It is not a living, breathing entity. It's a voice that you've listened to ever since you're about 2 years old. See, that's when it started to vocalize, where it learned language, and you thought that it was you that was saying those words. And of course it was, but when you didn't move your lips and it said those words, you thought that was you talking to you.
Yeah. Well, I really love that you said insatiable, because I never saw that before or understood it. But when you just said it, it really rang true. Like,
You can't be, it cannot be satisfied. You can't have any more money won't do it.
right.
More accolades won't do it. More Oscars won't do it. Nothing is enough for that insatiable conversation that has been living you. Now, I can say that with certainty because most people have not investigated that voice to the point that it has lost power over them.
Mhm.
Look, I'm 84, going on 85
Well, it'll be
years old.
85 by the
By the time this
airs.
airs, I'll be 85. And I still in the middle of the night wanted to hurt myself with Ariel's rejection.
And then he even says, I said, no, I want to sleep, which I thought was really funny because I would have, had you been, I could have roused myself. I was just
But the
It's so
more
funny.
mature part of me didn't
heard it
want
as a
to-
no.
No. That the child part of me heard it as a no. The more mature part of me heard it like, I want her to get a good night's sleep, so I'm not going to force her to do this.
Yes.
But if it was a deer in the backyard with all kinds of antlers, I would have gotten you up, you see.
That's true because it comes and goes. It's not still on the iPad. I ultimately.
But then again, I lost that video.
We saw it though.
We saw it, but then it left.
We'll look for it again. It's interesting when we prepared. We write the templates or the descriptions, obviously, before we record these podcasts. And hello, baby. She's talking to us. Our cat. Can the self-discipline of listening be effortless? I realize there's listening and then there's listening. And I've been
So
seeing
define
both kinds
define your
today. I
definition.
shall. So as you were talking, and then as Corinne was talking back to you saying, oh, that word insatiable. Yeah, I'm listening to
Mhm.
each of you and the words you're saying. And then there's that internal listening where Corinne described it, where she said, no, I don't want to change my license plate to
Right,
be in
right.
New Jersey. How can I do that? And the self-discipline part of both is putting my attention fully on you as you're speaking, or as fully as I know how. And the other part is the noticing of the internal dialogue when it happens. So you can hear it, but you don't need to invest in it. And that's a self-discipline because you've gotten skilled in the 3 principles, Corinne.
Yes.
Well, starting with the second principle, life shows up or your thought process shows up exactly as it does in any given moment. So when, oh no, I can't give up New York. And then you have 2 choices. You either invest in that or you resist it like, oh no, I can't believe I'm, and then that whole thought process eats you. Or third principle, you notice that you had that thought, you let it go by, you just a simple awareness, it's enough. And then you can make your appointment or type in the details that you need. I think people have the idea that the discipline is only when in the presence of another person and you're listening to them, as opposed to recognizing when you have that thought process and not having to follow its dictates.
That's really cool. Right. Because I didn't go down the rabbit hole of why am I doing this? Should I be doing this? How do I, I just didn't go there. I just was like, this is what I want to do. Let's keep going. So it saves a lot of time and it is much more effortless and
Mhm.
stress-free,
Yeah.
which is nice.
And it's just so awful that you have 2 homes, that you have to have this big problem.
It's rough. It's very difficult.
Right.
Yeah.
Finally, I've spent the longest time, we've owned this house for over 10 years, and it used to be, which place do I like better? Like as if I have to have a favorite. And only recently, maybe within the last 8 months, I can love New York and I could love New Jersey. I don't have to pick.
People used to often ask us that because we travel quite a bit for fishing, and people always say, where's your favorite place to fish? And in general, we say wherever we happen to be fishing, because if I'm on the river here by our house fishing for little fish, dreaming about being in Canada on the West Coast fishing for steelhead, when I get to the West Coast, I won't be there either. My mind will be going forward to some better place, some other place, some different day.
More, better, different. That's your mind.
Yeah, that's true.
Always looking for more, better, or different. So nothing is enough. You know, like.
So I think it's quite wonderful that you can have New Jersey be your favorite place when you're in New Jersey, and New York be your favorite place when you're in New York.
Exactly. That's really true.
Sweet.
You're looking great today.
Oh, thank you.
So
We
happy
appreciate it.
You're getting healthier.
and it's so nice to see.
I am getting healthier, and I attend these seminars for many years, over 20 years, and what's really been helpful is that I had mentioned to you I was recovering from pneumonia, and it wasn't coming fast enough. It was going too slow, and you said it never goes fast enough. I just am learning to like relax and listen to my body more than, like, oh, you've been 2 weeks already. Why isn't, that sort of thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just that, and just appreciating the little things, like just hanging out in the house and watching TV and being with my dog or having George on the couch. It's really nice.
Having George on the couch. That's an interesting concept. Hanging out with my dog or having George on the couch.
Yeah.
That only because George spends a lot of time working in his office, and it's special time when he comes in the den and we can sit on the couch together.
So George is your husband.
Yes.
Yeah,
Not
George,
your
my husband.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that's so sweet. I mean, it's so sweet that you recognize he's there. There's a lot of people spend time with their partners or their kids or even their dogs or cats, and their minds are off elsewhere, and so you don't get the benefit of being with that person. So it's quite lovely.
Yeah, it's really nice.
Lovely being with you today.
Yes.
Yeah. I'm really enjoying this too, and thank you for these on-air podcast. It's
Mhm.
just such a delight to pick up the phone because I do listen on my phone. Just to hear you and be with you, no matter any day, any place. It's really delightful. So thank you.
Thank you.
Our
Yeah.
pleasure.
Our pleasure. And since you do go to New York occasionally, now that you're a New Jerseyite, we are doing an in-person seminar really soon, in just about a week and a half, on the 27th, 8th, and 9th of March, The Power of Listening, in person in New York City. Hope we get to see you there.
Yep. I'm really excited. I'll be there.
Great.
Awesome. So if you want to meet Corinne,
Come join us.
join us. That's a good
That's a good,
enticement.
yes. That's a good carrot.
Yeah. Thanks, Corinne.
Yeah,
Thank
thanks.
you so much.
Now it's your turn. Let's hear what one of you listeners has to say about being here in the transformation community.
Hi, I'm Arne from Cologne, Germany. Yeah, when I'm not in a good mood, I'm hearing the radio show, and then it's all gone. My thoughts in my head, and I'm feeling free and peaceful.
Do you want to have well-being with consistency? Connect with people all over the world from the comfort of your own home at Ariel and Shire's lively interactive Living Made Easy virtual seminars. Join any of their 2-hour online events or take a deep dive into the magic of being you at a virtual weekend seminar. Come on, let's connect. Find out more and register at transformationmadeeasy.com.
Hopefully, if you're listening, you can join us for the Power of Listening in New York City. And then in May, our next in-person course will be, or courses.
We'll be in Hamburg, Germany, We're doing the Freedom to Breathe on May 14th.
which is a Thursday.
And then Friday night, Saturday, and Sunday, we're doing Being Boldly You.
Costa Rica is open and filling, and you're invited. A prerequisite is attending a weekend seminar with us. We
have to see whether we play well together.
Mhm. Mhm. So we have a Living Made Easy seminar today, if you're listening in real time. It's at 2:30 Eastern time because the time changes between Europe and 7:30 or 19:30 Central European time. We have one on Saturday, and also next week, it looks like on Monday. So you're invited. You can check our schedule, transformationmadeeasy.com, and register for any or all. Let's take our next guest.
Yes.
All right.
Julie.
Welcome to being here.
Hi.
Hi. It's great to be here. I'm calling in from Yonkers, New York.
Nice.
Yeah, I love this topic, and I'm a high school principal, and the two of you serve as my leadership consultants for my job. And I actually think that this phrase came up during one of our sessions. I think listening is a self-discipline. I just remember Shia saying it, and we were like, oh, that's like a new way of seeing it. And what I wanted to say about it is that I find it so much easier to listen to people, no matter what they're saying, at work than I do at home with my husband.
Of course.
Yeah.
But you see, look, Julie, you've got ideas about what you want, what you prefer, what you want to have happen. Your husband has ideas about what he wants and what he wants to have happen. It doesn't matter how you got to the conclusions you got to, you have your choices. He's got his point of view, you've got yours. Listening involves allowing his point of view to be absolutely fine exactly as it is. But that's in conflict with what you would prefer, you see. And
Well, you're also the head honcho at work.
Yeah.
And you're in a partnership at home. But
I didn't see it that way, but that's absolutely true.
But I've seen you work with your superintendent and assistant superintendent and how you listen to them. I also think that at work, you're a professional at recognizing that your students, because they're all English language learners, and your teachers, they're multicultural. So when you listen, you set down your culture. It's a discipline already that's well established. To hear from the different cultures that are speaking to you in the guise of a teacher or a student or an administrator or other staff member at your school. Of course, your husband has a different culture. He grew up in a different place, a whole different culture. But at home, it's easy to want to think that your culture is right to begin with.
The better
one.
You know,
You're nodding, but it's an audio.
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah.
I see that. And what I've noticed also is that it's not even like he's telling me. A lot of times he just wants to talk about things that he's interested in or passionate about. And
you have no interest.
Yeah, it's like, well, I do, but I it's like, yes, in a way, I'm just better behaved at work, if that's the way I could say it. Like if somebody were to tell me something they were interested in, like he made this delicious one pot lasagna a few days ago. And it was so good. And like leading up, discovering the recipe and then leading up to it and buying the ingredients and making it. And then after it's like, I have no issues with the one pot lasagna, but my mind wanted to do different things than listen to information about the one pot lasagna. Like his
That's
passion.
where it's a self-discipline, you
Yes.
see. If he's talking, you need to stop talking in your head
In
and
order to
actually
listen.
let what he's saying come in rather than your comments about what he's saying.
Well, you're really good at something I've noticed at school. In the early days, we used to come into your school a lot. With the advent of Zoom, we tend to have Zoom meetings.
Well, with the advent of COVID, everything changed.
But I have noticed that when somebody comes into your office and they come in with a question, you pause, speaking with us, and immediately look at them. You never listen to them while typing or looking at us. In fact, if we have a conversation, you and I, and you and Shia, and something occurs to you like, oh, I should make a note about that. You always look us in the eye and say, I'm going to make a note about that. And then you step away and you make a note. I guarantee you, when your husband starts speaking to you, you forget to listen with your eyes. And then it's because you're busy, you're doing busy things,
And
you're playing with Manny or the dog.
Here's the other thing. You're always involved in what you're involved with. So you're always preoccupied.
We're all preoccupied.
See, so if I speak to Ariel, I have to make sure that she's actually listening because she's involved in other things. So sometimes I say, do you have a moment? Can I speak to you now? So she puts that on hold and we speak.
And I can be in a room apparently doing nothing and be totally occupied already, whether it's figuring out.
Well, you're always involved
something
with your thoughts. We have between 40 and 60,000 thoughts a day. That means we're preoccupied.
So you could figure you're almost always having a conversation, either with yourself or with somebody else.
I would say always. It's very, people go to meditation centers to quiet their minds, to not be thinking, but that doesn't work at all. We lived in a meditation center for almost 2 years and our minds were noisier when we left than they were the day before we left.
Yeah, that's why I like your approach. It's very practical.
Very practical, extremely practical. You get so much more done when you do what you're doing when you're doing it, rather than think about all the other things you should be doing while you're doing it.
I really see it with me and with Shia as well. If I don't turn my full attention on him using my eyes, then my listening ability is degraded, even if I'm apparently fully listening.
You're not listening.
I'm toggling back and forth between my project and what he has to say.
So even though you think you're listening, you're not really there, because you have to have a part of you holding on to what you want to remember to say.
Now,
And it's the same thing when you're speaking with somebody and you want to say something to what they just said, rather than just let it go. And if it's there when they're done speaking, it's appropriate to say it, rather than holding on to it. Because if you hold on to it, you don't let what they're saying in. It's as though your hand is full already. You cannot accept anymore.
Yes.
Can't receive.
I love that.
Yeah.
I just want to underline what Shai just said about allowing yourself to let go of your response, your reply, what occurs to you, to continue listening to the stream.
Well, here's the other thing that you just said. When the reply is usually a self-defense. See, the reply is usually a proving your point of view rather than allowing another point of view to come into you.
And just to complete what I was saying, because it's still here, it's what just happened now. He said, oh, it just that it's always your reply is a defense, or it's often a defense. I listened to what he said. And then when that was done, what I had to say was still here. If it's something you genuinely had to say, it will still be there. You don't have to worry about losing your point, because this is not a game of points where the person with the more points wins. It really is about listening. And one other thing about that, our minds are structured in change. So
I'll behave.
Yeah, let me just.
Yeah, go ahead.
Listening good, not listening bad. So all of us are trying to be better listeners. We're trying to improve rather than just being.
Then there's this other thing. You see, when you actually listen, you get pulled into the current moment of your life. That's the benefit. See,
Yeah.
the benefit is really that you get here in your moment rather than you're still stuck in your thoughts about what's important to say and what you have to prove and what you have to provide. You can just be. It's called vacation in the moment.
I actually think listening to your husband talk about the details of his one pot lasagna could be like going on vacation from your mind.
I love that. I love that.
Most people hear that as, oh, here's Julie trying to improve the quality of her relationship with her husband, rather than, no, you can just take a break and actually listen. It might be really relieving and refreshing. And after a long day's work, hey, nothing you need to do but hear.
I love that, because when I come home, my mind is still like buzzing with work. It's still just working on work. And it's nothing I need to think about. It's just like when a wheel is spinning really fast, it's
a machine, Julie.
Yeah.
And it talks to itself all the time.
Yes.
Sometimes I see that when I get in the shower. It's my mind will spit out things that I've been thinking about or working on. And I love the sensation of letting them flow away and recognizing that, in a way, I'm not only washing off the physical dirt of the day, I'm washing away the mental debris of the day as well.
That's cool.
Thanks for being with us today.
Yeah.
Really a treat. And in case we haven't said it recently, we really, really enjoy being leadership consultants for you and for your school. It's just such an honor.
Well, there's a benefit for us in that we watch the difference it makes in your teachers and your students
and your administrators.
And because first off, I think you're the only high school in the city where listening is a priority. Actually listening to one another.
Yes.
Yeah. In the teachers' meetings, they have professional development each week. It's a standard I've seen in many different schools. And it's really kind of neat that sometimes you're like, close your laptops. Let's just be with each other. Let's actually use our eyes and listen. And that it's something you teach your kids as well, to listen, that listening is a priority.
Well, listening makes learning a lot easier.
It's true. It's way easier. So easy that I can see why it's almost too easy. I can see why I think my staff values it, and I see why there's always a little resistance because it seems too simple to believe.
Well, that and there's this surrender factor, and people don't want to surrender to their moment.
There's also a difference between simple and easy. It is simple, but it's not always easy.
Right. True.
Yes. Yeah.
Cool.
Thanks for being with us today. It feels like this was a very illuminating conversation.
Yes. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. You can share this podcast with your friends. Listening a self-discipline. I can see now. Here, listen to this.
So maybe you could use some, your listening abilities need to be improved.
Next week's episode is I Could Have Done It Better.
Could
course.
you really?
That's what we'll discuss next week. We'll be back next week. So come on back.
And don't miss
Being here.